The master archetype in media is usually someone who will teach the main character how to perform a move so devastating it can defeat any opponent, or teach the main character a value that they will hold until they draw their final breath. But in shonen anime specifically, the main character will have their master for a long length of time, whether that be for days, months, or even years. What if the protagonist and the master only met a few times, and with those very few interactions, the protagonist completely changes? There's this show that I've heard no one talk about, or only drop the name of the show once or twice. The show is called Orb, on the movements of the Earth, and after only watching the first 3 episodes, I knew that I would immediately love this show and want to talk about it now and in the future. So join me in this new series called Onward with Orb, where I can give my analysis on Orb, and we can have pleasant conversations in the comments about what you guys think and about what I think. My goal is to move chronologically with the series and give an analysis every 3 episodes or so. So without further ado, let's get started. Before we talk about the main kickoff to this series, let's start off with some context of the situation. Rafal is our main character, a very bright kid with a very successful future ahead of him. The setting of the story takes place in 15th century Europe, where it is believed that the planets and the sun rotate around the Earth because God has deemed our planet as special. While there is no real evidence or astronomical evidence to back this claim up, this concept is taught in schools and is hammered into children's brains that what is in the Bible is correct. No one should argue with what God has said or has done. Another thing to note is that anyone who tries to prove this theory wrong will be arrested and tortured under the crime of heresy. So anyone who attempts to contradict the church would be a heretic and tortured or killed on their second offense. Now, to try and quickly understand our main character Rafal, he is someone who lives his life thinking very rationally. By ignoring all irrational thoughts and actions, he can live his life comfortably, and this philosophy has worked in his favor. By accepting what others have deemed rational and accepted, he will live by those ideas without even trying to challenge them. He lived a life of poverty before being adopted by a teacher, so in order to never go back to that life again, he will do anything to succeed. Living by this philosophy, at just 12 years old, he's been accepted into university and is set to live a life of amazing grandeur. So the inciting incident that kicks off this story is when Rafal is asked by his father to go pick up someone named Huber, a heretic who was arrested for conducting forbidden research. Upon meeting Huber quickly learns that Rafal is interested in astrology, to which their first conversation happens. Huber takes Rafal's observations of his astrology work and forces him to help Huber with his forbidden research. This is where something really interesting happens. It would make sense for Rafal to immediately turn in Huber as a heretic again, as he literally committed to lying to get out of jail right to his face. But Rafal's curiosity on how the universe works is way too strong for him to ignore. So a little small detail I forgot to mention is that Rafal is actually going to university to study theology. But here's the interesting part. We know that theology is not Rafal's true passion. The first reason is because if it were, he would have no interest in astrology at all. He would deem it irrational and as a waste of time. Another is that earlier in this episode, he was asked to quit astrology by his father, since if he was to study theology, he wouldn't need anything else, not even a hobby. In that moment, Rafal is shocked and looks like he wants to fight back, but chooses not to. There isn't a clear explanation why, but we know just from his facial expression that he really does enjoy astrology. This is the first time that we see a break in Rafal's character that he is trying so hard to display to others. He lives his life in a way to make himself successful, but doesn't allow any personal exploration or interest. This moment of hearing Huber out is a decision to be selfish and irrational, to allow his own curiosity to breathe for once. And this choice to hear Huber out leads to the most important conversation those two will have, because it completely challenges how Rafal and everyone else thinks the universe works. Most authors would take this idea and have very deep and very complex questions to try and break the main character, but the questions that the author proposes are very simple. Huber asks if Rafal can draw how the universe looks if the Earth is in the middle, and if that makes the universe beautiful. Well, what does he mean by this? When Huber asks if this would make the universe beautiful, it means, does it function in a way that is rational and makes sense to look at? With the image that Rafal drew, all the planets and stars don't operate in a way that makes total rational sense. Even Rafal agrees himself. So Huber is trying to find an explanation on how the universe works that allows each planet to revolve in a rational way that makes logical sense. From this moment on, Rafal can no longer believe that obedience and tradition are rational, because he has now seen that a system can be accepted by everyone and still make no sense at all. Huber's proposed beautiful and rational theory on how the universe works places the sun in the middle, and he calls this heliocentrism. After these 2 meetings is where Rafal is really starting to believe that heliocentrism could be a rational and beautiful way of how the world works. Like I mentioned earlier, Rafal is someone who lives rationally. If the way he was thinking originally is challenged and he learns of a way to think more rationally, he will choose that way. The second to last meeting is another important meeting, The first meeting was more about the idea of heliocentrism and thinking rationally, while this conversation is more of a philosophical debate. Let me explain. Rafal wonders why Hubert would put himself in such a dangerous position, doing something that could get himself killed if he is not careful. Now, in my own theory, I would assume that most people don't study outside of what the church says because they are scared of things like pain and death. It is very common knowledge that people who are heretics can and will die. So most people just take the information at face value in order to stay alive. But Hubert operates differently. He's not scared of death because he lives life with essence. Just because he is scared doesn't mean he's living life wrong, or in a way he shouldn't. It still has value. While this value may be considered foolish or blasphemous, it is still value that holds meaning. Rafal is shocked by this information. It's information that sticks with him. We don't immediately realize this, but it will be important later on. The last meeting is a very bittersweet one. Rafal's research gets found by an inquisitor who is there to check in on Hubert and see how he's doing, and confronts Rafal about his forbidden research. But what's interesting is that Hubert takes the fall for Rafal. In a moment of desperation to at least try and save him, Rafal asks, "Do you not have work to complete?" But Hubert says he's already completed it, an answer that is abstract on the surface, but looking deeper, we realize his answer is Rafal. As long as Hubert was able to find someone to be a successor to him, then all of his work is done and allows the next generation to continue his studies. By the end of these meetings, Rafal no longer believes that a safe life is a rational life, because Hubert shows him that a life lived in fear may preserve the body, but it abandons meaning entirely. So, how does all of this information change Rafal? Well, Rafal continues to study heliocentrism, researching how this way of the universe working makes more rational sense than the way the church believes it does. Rafal researches this in secret, trying his best to be as secretive as he can with this information, but unfortunately has a slip-up that will be his undoing. All it took was one less piece of paper to not fully burn, and the person to find this piece of paper was his own adoptive father, who turns in Rafal to the Inquisitors under the crime of heresy. Rafal is told that if he does not retract this statement, he will be subjected to torture until he retracts it, to which Rafal says he will. But at the actual trial, Rafal says that he doesn't retract his statement and believes in heliocentrism. Let's imagine we took episode 1 Rafal in this situation. A rational person would immediately retract this statement to avoid torture and continue living and attending university. But after just a few interactions with Hubert, he decided to die by his beliefs, because to him, heliocentrism is rational and beautiful. Rafal's last conversation before his torture is with the Inquisitor, while they enjoy a drink together, until Rafal reveals that he actually poisoned his own drink. The Inquisitor is shocked that someone would intentionally poison themselves. Everyone is afraid of death and would do everything in their power to avoid it. But Rafal claims that he isn't. While quoting many famous philosophers, he explains that even though his life was short, it was fulfilling, and that there's no need to be afraid of death, just because we do not know what happens afterwards. Again, let's assume we took episode 1 Rafal in this situation. He would take the torture as a way to keep living because he was scared at the execution site where bodies were burned. So it's clear to us that he fears death. But now, after learning of how Hubert lives his life, he's no longer afraid of death. It's just an event that no one had the ability to describe or explain, so to everyone it's scary. But this isn't the case. Just because something is scary doesn't mean it has to be avoided. Rafal's choice to poison himself before being burned was a way to challenge the church and say, "I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of seeing me suffer. I will take away all your pleasure as you have taken away mine." In the end, Rafal does not die for heliocentrism itself, but because Hubert taught him that a life without meaning is already a kind of death, and once Rafal understands that, fear no longer has any power over him. It's honestly super fascinating to see a character who once believed only in what he deemed rational have his entire worldview changed in just 4 encounters. Encounters that ultimately led him to give up his life for a new understanding of how the universe works. In a typical modern shonen, the master-student relationship often lasts for months or years, but here, the entire character arc unfolds in just 3 episodes, showing how much someone can change in just a short amount of time. The key takeaway from this video is this: even if someone is only in your life for a brief moment, that time is never wasted. It can leave a lasting impact and teach you invaluable lessons. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, I really hope you enjoyed this video. So please like, subscribe, comment, share it to your best friend, your mom, your dad, your dog, to anybody. I would love to get my work out there and show it to everyone that I possibly can. So please, if you're here, like the video. And again, if you're still here, subscribe, like, I'll do all that good stuff. And as always, have a good day.